What's up, gorgeous people? It's Amber. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I'm going to show you a sneak peek of how I store some of the shoes in my shoe room. I get this question all the time because when somebody hears you have 500 pairs of shoes, they're like, oh my gosh, where do you put them all? It's got to be a mess. Da 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 da. No, it's not a mess. There's definitely ways that you can store your shoes that will not take up as much space as people are envisioning it will take up, and you can keep them organized. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you how I store some of my shoes so that you can get an idea if your collection is growing or if you're just trying to think of ways, how can I get these shoes out of the way but keep them organized? I have some ideas for you today, just showing you how I store some of my shoes, and hopefully you'll find this helpful. Now, I am not going into, oh, this is my shoe collection, check out all of my shoes. That's not what this is today. This is, hey, this is how I store my shoes. So I'm not going to show you every single inch of my room here. I'm just going to give you some ideas with some of the ways that I store my shoes. The whole this is my shoe collection video is a whole different video that I do plan to shoot some point in the future, and I'm definitely going to have to figure out someone to professionally edit that one for me because yeah, I definitely do not have the skills to edit a video that would be that long, and it will probably literally take me days to shoot such a video. But I will do that for you guys at some point, but that's definitely not going to happen today. So today's video is just going to show you how I store some of my shoes, and hopefully you find this entertaining and gives you some ideas. So without further ado, let's jump into this thing. Okay guys, we're going to start with this rack right here. I got this rack recently on Amazon, and I just bought one because I just wanted to make sure it was as good as everyone was saying it was in the reviews, and it 100% is. I love this rack. This is such a great rack. What I love the most about it is that it has these bars that go across the rack in each section, and the way that you're supposed to display your shoes, on this rack is like this. Like your shoe would go here and then just rest on the front of this bar. But I don't want to display mine this way. Look how much prettier it looks if you just hang your shoes off the side. Like, it looks so pretty. I love the way that it looks. So if you have at least a 3-inch heel, well, I would say a 4-inch heel, at least a 4-inch heel or higher, you can definitely hang it off the bars of this rack, and it looks so pretty. So I'm able to get 5 pairs of shoes across, and then I guess that would be, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5 pairs down, because the rack holds 50 pairs of shoes total, just as it advertised, and it's so sturdy. I was really surprised with how sturdy it was. It was only about $40. It was $39 something on Amazon. I will link it in the description box below because I definitely will be buying another one of these racks. But I'm telling you what, it has a lot of great features. Not only are you able to get 50 pairs of shoes comfortably on this rack, but it's also on wheels. Love that it's on wheels because I can just pull this out and get to the other side where I have my shoes. Now, I don't always do it that way, but I like the fact that I can do that so I can see full display my other side, the other side that I have my shoes on. Usually what I do if I need to get the other side, though, I'll just pull a pair out and then I'll just like take them out that way. But it's nice to know that I can just wheel this out and just take a look at the other side. Love that it's on wheels. Love that we have all of these awesome bars on here where I can hang my heels off of, make them look nice and pretty. Loving that. Now, this rack can obviously be used for wedge shoes or like tennis shoes or whatever type of shoes you want to store on it. But of course, you can't hang them off the bar as I have here. That would just be for like a stiletto type heel situation. So you would have to display them the way that I showed you before, which I'm not even really sure you can see how I'm doing that. Like the shoe just like sits on the top of the rack, I guess you can say. That's how it should be displayed. But I think it looks so much prettier this way. I love it like this. And of course, since my collection is so large, I'm able to do it this way with 50 pairs of my heels that will go on here. Like, you can also do a chunky heel, whatever. As long as it has a heel that will grip onto this little bar here, you can put it on there. Perfect. Loving this rack. This is definitely one of my favorites. Highly suggested if you have a larger shoe collection and you're trying to find a space-saving way to store your shoes, because this does not take up a lot of space in the room at all, and it's on wheels so you can put it wherever you want in the room. So many benefits to this rack. Highly suggested if you're getting a lot of pairs of shoes or you already have a lot of pairs of shoes and you're looking for an efficient way to store them. This rack 100% would suggest it, and I would definitely be getting myself more of those. So that's rack number 1. Let's move on to the way that I store my shoes on rack number 2. Okay guys, so for this second rack, this is just a bookcase. This was a bookcase that I had, and honestly, I've been meaning to paint this bookcase for like ever because I don't really care for it in this dark wood color. I want to paint it like a rustic purple color, which I know probably sounds a little off to people because people don't think rustic and purple, but I love purple, I love rustic, so I think that it would look great that way. I will eventually paint it like that, but for now, this rack is holding a lot of my favorite pairs of shoes. I don't know, like, you know how I have my horse hoof pony heels that are the Mary Jane style. I have some of my favorite pairs of shoes on here and my 10-inch ones. Yay! You guys are going to see me walk in these soon. I promise that the weather has to get nice enough for me to be able to do that, but I definitely am going to do a video with me walking in these shoes very soon for you guys. So it has a lot of the pairs of shoes that I consider to be my favorite shoes on here. So this is more of like a display type rack for my shoes. It's not necessarily, I mean, it's efficient in the fact that it does hold comfortably 26 pairs of shoes, but it's just, I for efficiency, for as big as my collection is, I need something more like the first rack that I showed you. But this one, I like having it because it just has some of the shoes that are my favorite on there. So if you have like a bookcase or something like that in your house that isn't being used for what it's supposed to be used for, another great use would be to store your shoes on it, because that's what I do. I'm always thinking, what can I use to store my shoes? And I saw this in my house and thought, you know what? I'm moving that to the closet and it's going to be shoe storage. So that's what I did with this one. So there's another idea for you guys. You could use a bookcase, but honestly, this bookcase will probably be coming out of my room soon because I do need more space for shoes. So I probably will get another rack like this and put that rack right beside this one. So I might lose this bookcase and won't have a favorite shoe shelf, I guess you can say. But we'll see. But that is probably going to happen because I do need a little bit more space for my shoes. But nonetheless, a bookcase is another good choice to store your shoes with. So there's option number 2. Let's go into option number 3. Okay guys, so for this next rack, do you remember when you were a little kid and you had those great big floor wooden TVs that took up a ton of space that were so heavy? I'm really showing my age here, but at any rate, you had those big wooden TVs, and then that TV broke. So you went out and you bought a more modern TV, but then you put it on top of the old wooden TV that doesn't work anymore, so it kind of became the TV stand for the new TV. Yeah, that's kind of what I got going on here with this rack. So for this next rack, I have a store fixture. This store fixture I got from a store that I was working at. It went out of business, and they were literally throwing these store fixtures away. And I was like, no, I can definitely use that for storage. So I took 2 of their store fixtures that they were going to throw away. And this one here, I decided to put one of those really cheap, and I mean cheap. This was probably like $15 TV stands that you get at like Walmart, Target, whatever. And I've never actually used it as a TV stand, but I knew that I could get a lot of shoes on this way, so I decided to put it on top of my store fixture so that I could literally have shoes from floor to ceiling, like you're gonna see in the photo, because on the top of this rack, or not photo, it's a video that I'm gonna put beside this video so you can see the whole rack. I have my thigh-high boots on top of there. Not all of them, but some of them I have stored up on top there. Now, I would suggest if you have the space for your thigh-high boots to hang them, definitely hang them up. That would be so much more efficient. But because I don't have the space to do that, I have mine displayed on the top of this rack here and also along the floor of my like where I have my clothes hanging. I have them in the front there because I have a lot of them and I just don't have enough storage for all of them, so that's how I'm storing them. And a lot of people would like to use pool noodles to put on the inside of them. Well, I use paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls that I've like taped together. I would rather use something that's going to be thrown away than go out and buy a pool noodle for that. So yes, it takes a little bit more effort, but you know what, it does the same thing. So that's the way that I try to keep the shape of my boots in place, by using paper towel rolls and toilet paper rolls that I've taped together and built up so that they hold my shoes in place. That's how I display and store, rather, my thigh-high boots. And then on the bottom shelves here, I have more boots and also tennis shoes on this rack. This rack from floor to ceiling holds about 125 pairs of shoes for me, which is really good. And another thing that I wanted to point out, because I don't think that I pointed it out with that second rack, is if you notice, I like to store my shoes one front and one rear facing. The reason I do that is because you get far more shoes in a row than you would if you stored them all facing the same way. Like if you store them all facing front or all facing back, you're not going to get as many shoes on that row as you will if you put one forward and one backward. So if you're looking for additional shoe space and you have a shoe rack, you might want to just try doing this. This might give you the additional space that you need in order to store your shoes just by putting one forward and one backward. You're going to see that you're going to get more on that row than you normally would just displaying them all frontwards. So if you're looking for efficiency and not aesthetics, I mean, aesthetically it might look better, not more better. It might look better to have them all facing frontwards and or all facing backwards, but I'm not worried about aesthetics. I'm worried about organization and being able to see all of my shoes and get to all of my shoes. So this is what I find to be the best way to store them. So for rack number 2, I get about 125 pairs on this rack, so that's really good for me. I do have another rack like this in my room. It's exactly like this, so I'm not going to show you that one. And I have it set up similar to this one. So it's about the same setup, so I'm not going to show that one to you. This isn't a shoe showing video. This is, hey, this is how I store my shoes. So I'm not going to bore you with the same thing twice. So at any rate, this is a good idea. If you can maximize your space by putting something else on top of another shelf that you have for shoes, do that. Whatever you got to do to make it work, guys. That's how I feel. Whatever I got to do to make this work so that I can keep this space functional and organized, that's how I do it. So this is rack number 3 on how I store my shoes. Let's move on to rack number 4. Okay guys, so for this next rack, I'm using one of those like plastic garage storage shelves is what it is. You can buy these at Walmart, Target, Amazon, wherever you want to buy them. I can link in the description box below where I got this one. This one came from Walmart, and I feel that these are great for storing shoes on. They're about $35, so they're not breaking the bank. They're about the same price actually as the one that I bought on Amazon. However, I get far more pairs of shoes on this one, and I mean like 3 times as much pairs of shoes on this rack than I do that rack. So that's why I would suggest this rack for somebody. This rack literally holds for me 150 pairs of shoes, and the reason that is because I have the shoes stored from top to bottom, and I have them stored, you know, one facing front, one facing rear, and then I get 2 deep in on the shelves inside, and then I'm able to store all of my heels that I can hang, like, you know, with the stiletto that I can hang off them. I'm able to hang them all the way around the rack. So that's why I'm able to get so many pairs of shoes on this rack, because I have them stored front and back like I told you, and then I get them 2 deep, and I'm able to hang shoes all the way off of the rack all the way around. So that's why I would suggest this rack for somebody who is looking for a really good space saving measure, who isn't that worried about aesthetics, because aesthetically it's not that pleasing, because it's, you know, it's a garage store shelf, you know. So because it's a garage store shelf, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing thing to put in your closet, but it is very efficient. As I said, 150 pairs of shoes fit on this rack. I mean, if you're looking for a space-saving measure, this is a really good choice. So I highly suggest getting something like this if you're not worried about the way that everything looks. I mean, I think it looks great. And when I actually took a picture of this and put it on my Instagram, and people are like, oh, thanks for sharing some of your shoes, blah, blah, blah. They're like, well, may I suggest putting them in, you know, from pastels to this? Okay, listen, guys, I have a lot of shoes. So I am not worried about color coordinating the shoes and all that kind of stuff. I do try to put like pairs together so that I know what I have and don't, like, you know, buy the same thing again. But I'm not really worried about the colors and stuff like that. I'm just worried about getting them all on the rack. So as far as the color coordination and all that goes, I really don't go into that much detail with my shoes, because I'm just trying to make sure that they're organized and that I can get to them all. So I'm not that concerned about that. At any rate, this is a really good way to display your shoes if you're looking for a great space saving measure and you have a large shoe collection, as mine is. You can probably get, depending on what size shoe you wear too. I mean, I take that into consideration and how bulky your shoes are. But nonetheless, I get about 150 pairs on this rack. So definitely suggest something like this for someone who has a large shoe collection. So let's move on to 2 more fun ideas of how I store my shoes. And this is just me trying to find ways to get them off the floor and organized. So here's a couple more ideas. Okay guys, sorry for the angle on this one, but I really didn't want to take all of the shoes off of this so that I can move the rack, but this is a CD rack. So that's all this is. It's a CD rack. I know that I don't have CDs anymore. A lot of people don't have CDs anymore. So instead of getting rid of the rack, I I decided to put it in the corner here that was out of the way and just stick some shoes on it. Just have like the stiletto style heel shoe here, and I just have it hanging off of the wires of this rack. So you can comfortably get 10 pairs on here, but if I wanted to, I have 11 pairs on here right now just because I kind of stuck these off to the side. But I mean, I could double it up a little bit more, but honestly, I'm worried about the stability of this, and I wasn't desperate for storage. But if you needed some additional storage and you just needed like a few more pairs of shoes, I mean, this holds 10 pairs, so that's a really good solution for, you know, just a little bit more of additional storage for your shoes. So again, 10 pairs on this. This is just a CD rack. Not a good idea for storing your shoes. I have one more small idea for shoe storage, and that's going to wrap this video up for today. Okay, so if I thought that last one was hard to shoot, this one's even harder, so I had to sit on the floor. But nonetheless, this is just a stool. So what I did is I just took a stool, and again, with the shoes that I'm able to hang, I just hung the shoes from the sides, like I have the bars of the stool. Just hung the shoes there, and then just stuck a couple on top. This is just again, some quick additional storage for myself. I have 10 pairs of shoes on this rack as well. You can't even call it a rack, can you? It's not a rack, it's a stool. So I have 10 pairs of shoes on this stool. So again, just get creative. If you need some shoe storage and you have a stool sitting in your house that you're not using, why not just stick some shoes on it? Huh? How about that? So this is just another quick, easy, funny idea for shoe storage. I actually do store shoes on this. This isn't just for the video. This is just another way that I store my shoes. So just another idea for some quick, easy shoe storage. Again, 10 pairs of shoes on this stool. So I don't know, just do whatever you got to do to make it work, right? Let's wrap up this video. So there you go, guys. That's a little sneak peek of how I store some of my shoes in my shoe room here. I hope that you got some good ideas from this. I would highly suggest that rack from Amazon. I absolutely love it, and it would probably be more than sufficient for most people. I mean, you get 50 pairs of shoes on that rack. 50 pairs of shoes of any style. It could be the stilettos. It could be sneakers. It can be, you know, wedges, whatever. 50 pairs of shoes fit on that rack. So that would, and it's a space saving rack too. It doesn't take up that much space. It's on wheels. You can put it wherever you want. Highly suggest that rack. That is probably hands down one of my favorite racks, and probably gives you a more nice sleek look if you're concerned about the aesthetic of the way that your shoes are looking in your room or closet or wherever you're putting them in. Now, if you're not so concerned about aesthetics and you need a ton of space for your shoes, well, you need a rack that can hold a ton of shoes, rather. You don't need a ton of space. You need a little bit of space that holds a lot of shoes. That would definitely be the plastic garage shelves. I would highly suggest that one. I get 150 pairs of shoes on that rack. Again, not the most aesthetically pleasing, but definitely the most functional for me. So I would highly suggest something like that. And then if you don't want to go out and buy anything, just look at what you have in your house. I mean, like I use a CD rack. I use a stool. I mean, just look around and see, what can I use to put my shoes on to make them organized and out of my way? So just start brainstorming and think of some things that will work best for you, and hopefully some of the ideas that I gave you today you find useful or helpful in some way. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell, like, share, do all of those things to help other people find this channel. Thanks so much for taking the time to check this out, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye! Okay guys, we're going to start with this rack right here. This was a rack that I just bought recently at Amazon because if you've been following all, this doesn't work. Oh man. 100% suggest this rack, especially if you have heels to display like I do. I love this rack. Look how pretty they look on this rack. So I am not putting the shoes on here the way that they're supposed to be. Sorry, I gotta do this again. Just knock some clothes off the rack. Awesome. And I love it. I only got one because I just wanted to see if it was as sturdy and was good. That didn't work. Okay, try it again. You can just hang your heels off the bars and look how pretty that looks. You can get 5 heels across and there are 50 pairs on here, so it must be 5 pairs down. Oh no. Then you bought a new, like, more modern TV and you put that on top of the old TV to use the old TV as the new TV stand for the TV that you got. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, do it again. Okay guys, so for this nest rack, you know when you were, no, wrong. This one here, I have one of those really cheap, I mean, I'm talking like probably about $15 TV stands on top of it so that I can get as much space, much store shoot. Darn it. Again, that's why I would suggest something like this for somebody. It's also quite space saving because I don't feel like it takes up that much space. I mean, they're narrow. That didn't come out good. Okay, so if I thought that, okay, that's not working. How am I going to do this one? So there you go. Wow, that was high pitched, huh? Again. So there you go, guys. That's some ideas for storing your shoes if you have a really large, ridiculous collection like mine, or if you just need some additional suit. I'm gonna have trouble saying that the whole time, aren't I? Is that right? I think it's right. Wow, that would be an exhausting day. I might have to do 2 days of shooting if I'm going to do something like that. At any rate, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell, like, share, do all of those things. This isn't working. I've got to do it again. So there you go, guys. That is a little peek of how I store some of my shoes. Now, of course, I didn't show you all of my shoe storage today. I just wanted to give you a few ideas with how I decide the... Woo. So another rack like this, I can get another 50 pairs. Awesome. So that's rack number 1. If I can spit that out, we're going to go on to the next one. That didn't work. I have to do it again.